What's going on, everyone? So by now, I'm sure all of you are aware of how just spectacular Victor Wembanyama is. You know, and it's so impressive what he's been able to do, how just dominant he's been, really, on both sides of the basketball at this point. Right? Kind of had his questions on the offense side early on. We saw his progression. I've talked heavily about how I just think the Spurs and Pop have really done a really nice job with how they've kind of gone about Victor throughout the course of the season. Like, get him enough minutes, get him enough time to show that he's great, he's special, and give him a real viable opportunity to win Rookie of the Year, but also keep him, especially early on, few enough minutes to kind of get a feel for the game, kind of mask his early flaws that all rookies have, right? Coming in the league, trying to get a feel for the pace, the spacing, right? Like, the game's just, you're in awe, right? You're kind of a deer in headlights a little bit when you first get into the league. But I thought Pop and the Spurs have done a really good job of just keeping him kind of like paced, right? And then you saw him little by little start ramping up and getting more minutes and getting more opportunity. It still drives me crazy the way that, like, the players on the Spurs kind of like just pretend like he's not even on the court at times. I feel like they've done a little better of a job lately, but still, it's like he's clearly your best player. This dude, I'd rather Victor take every shot if you're the Spurs fan than anybody else on this roster, right? It's just like, come on, get your guy the ball. There's so many times where he has just clear established position or the mismatch, and they just fail to recognize it and ignore it. They really got to address a playmaker in the offseason, which I do. I fully expect the San Antonio Spurs to really start rounding out. I'm not saying that they're going to put together a contending roster next season or anything like that, but I do really think that they're going to start flushing out and rounding out, start putting together like the groundwork and foundation for what's to come over the next few seasons, right? You don't have to necessarily go and be a contender next year. Now, you never know. Victor's been so good. What kind of leaps does he take in between year one and year two to where, you know, hey, maybe if you just get like another piece. Trae Young is a guy that's being thrown out a lot, right, for a potential team up with Victor in San Antonio. Let's just say, for argument's sake, however you feel about Trae, let's say you get him, right? Excellent playmaker, guy that can shoot and score the basketball, right? Having him and Victor could make a little impact. If you put the right pieces around those two, with Victor's ability to defend, right, and kind of make up for so many flaws because he's just so long and lengthy, right? You go get like a legit 3-and-D. Can you go get a KCP, right? Imagine if you could get like a KCP and then, you know, go get a Royce O'Neal or something like that, right? Go get some real like 3-and-D shooters, defenders, right? And you got something like, you know, a Trae, KCP, Royce O'Neal. Say you go get like a Valanciunas and then play Victor at the 4, right? Like, that's a good squad, right? Depending on where Victor is and how he's progressed and stuff, and then, you know, his shooting from the 3-point range, and then say Trae Young. Right? Again, I'm just kind of spitballing here a little bit, but like, you may be able to put a roster together that maybe you're not winning a championship, but like could be in that conversation, right? Maybe you kind of do what the Thunder are doing this year, right? Like, you could be next year's Thunder. I think that could be very interesting. But just in general, Pop is aware. Pop knows what's going on. If we can see it, Pop sees it. I think a lot of it is just Pop's just kind of letting it happen, right? Because it's like, why isn't he like addressing that? Why isn't he like getting on his players? Dude, like, you're missing this, right? To me, I think it's a couple reasons. I think, one, now you have your excuse, you have your out for Victor. Right? So instead of the media being like, you know, Victor this, Victor that, it's like, oh man, Victor is spectacular. His teammates need to get him the basketball. Right? You have people like me, you know, the talking heads that are like, you got to get Victor the basketball. Right? It's that like, look over here type thing. And then also, I think it's just, you know, they're trying to get draft picks and you know, draft seeding rather than playoff seeding. So I think that's kind of like a mixed bag. So if you're Pop, you're just kind of like, just kind of let them play, let them figure it out, let them kind of, you know, go through their hiccups, go through their humps. This is a learning season. This is the you kind of get a good feel and grasp, okay, these guys make sense for this roster going forward. These guys don't. Maybe we in the offseason, we look to trade these guys, right? And Pop can kind of get a real glimpse at like, okay, we need to start getting rid of some guys, bringing in some guys, and you start building and putting the pieces together next season. Because, I mean, Victor's going to win Rookie of the Year. I mean, he's just been spectacular. And, I mean, next year, I don't think anyone would be shocked if he wins Defensive Player of the Year. If he has a defensive season like he has this season, I mean, you could make an argument, like a real argument, for him to win Defensive Player of the Year this year. Right? If San Antonio was actually like half decent, I actually think he'd be in the conversation with Rudy right now. I just think, Minnesota, they've been good, right? If they've had, Karl Anthony Towns going down, otherwise they'd probably be the 1 seed, or at least, I mean, they're still competing for it, but, like they'd probably have it locked up, right? One of the best defensive teams all season. He's their defensive anchor. Give him that. But I think genuinely, like, if the Spurs were the 5th seed or 6th seed, right, I think he'd actually have a real chance because he's just been spectacular defensively. But offensively, I mean, dude, San Antonio was just coming off of a 3-game win streak, which was pretty surprising, right? Given that they're trying to tank for the bottom, but Victor's out there just doing heroics and things we've never seen before on a rate. I mean, every game the guy's giving you some like insane ESPN #1 highlight. Like every game, it's crazy. But then they played the Warriors, and they were actually like they held their own, right? Like, and it was looking like, hey, maybe San Antonio really does pull this off, goes on a 4-game win streak. Then, Steph and the Warriors, they were able to handle business, and which is fine, right? You need these seasons to kind of learn, right? Victor, if he just came in and he's the 1 seed and they're dominating, they're killing and stuff, like, you kind of don't go through your lumps, right? You got to kind of learn, build on this, grow on this. So I'm fine. Like San Antonio, I trust to build a contender. I mean, they're winning franchise. They've done a really good job of like, hey, we got our piece, let's do it. You look at Tim Duncan and all the years that they were able to kind of keep him, David Robinson, right? Obviously when those two were together, but then even post David Robinson, they just continued to maintain. I do expect that to be the case with this going forward with Victor Wembanyama. So I have no concerns in that regard. It's just kind of flush things out. And then where does Victor kind of rise in the rankings, right? Like next year, you could say he's the best player in the league, and I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, seriously, the stuff you're seeing this year, he's not like lights out from 3, but he's shooting the 3 ball like pretty decent for a guy that's 12 feet tall, right? Like, and he's only going to get better in that regard. He's only going to get more comfortable. He's only going to get more efficient. Like, this dude has the bag already, and he's just going to get more refined. Right? He doesn't have his man body yet. He's still a kid. Like, what does he look like at 25, 26, 27? Right? Once he starts getting into his prime, once he starts getting into his man years, and puts on the size and the weight. Obviously, you don't want him put on so much weight he starts dealing with injuries and stuff like that. But, what does he look like, in a couple years? What does he look like in a handful of years and the levels he can reach? If he's doing this now as a rookie, like, the sky's the limit for this kid. And it's funny, like, coming in, there's all this hype and stuff with Victor. And, I got it. I wasn't like, oh, no. But to me, it was just kind of like, hey, let's stop. I just don't like the pressure that they put on some of these kids. Right? Give them an opportunity to kind of learn the league a little bit. Right? Give them an opportunity to kind of get their feet wet. Like, I thought he would be great. I didn't think he'd be this great, this fast. I mean, the guy has been special. And it's just been such a joy to watch, right? Like, it really has. And I really want to see him have success in this league. The whole running joke when he got drafted, he was created to in the LeBron Jordan debate, which is could be a very real possibility here in the next 15, 20 years, however long his career is, which hopefully he has a very long, very spectacular career. Because I say this all the time, I love these great players, right? These generational guys. I'm blessed as a true basketball fan, blessed to be able to see guys like this, like a LeBron. I talk about it all the time, man. Whether you hate LeBron, love LeBron, appreciate him because he doesn't have much longer. Same thing with Steph, Kevin Durant, right? I was lucky enough to and old enough to have seen Jordan and Kobe and all these guys just over the years. A little bit of Magic and stuff towards the tail end. It's a beautiful thing. So appreciate it. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? What do you think of Victor Wembanyama so far this season? What do you think of the Spurs' little 3-game win streak? What do you think of Pop and everything and how it's going on? Again, I'm going to talk about Victor Wembanyama a lot because the more I can, he just deserves it. The guy's been spectacular. But again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.